welcome to Naughty or Nice with Miss Cassie. Tonight, my very special guest is comedian Kinky Jean.
Hello.
I'm so glad to have her on the show. I first met her in, I believe it was last October on the Dr.Limor Blockman show.
That's right. If you're watching Dr.Limor Blockman, we say hi and thank you.
We do.
We salute you, like so.
That was a lot of fun because I got to meet this lovely lady here.
Thank you.
And you told me that your first experience in the kink scene was at Sanctuary.
That's right. That's right. I had a breakup with a boyfriend, a very vanilla relationship, and yet it went longer than, went longer than it should have gone. And when I finally ignited the breakup, had the grief, I started to allow myself to experiment like I never had before. So I was trying stuff, and a friend of mine, my running buddy and trying sexy things, told me about a Los Angeles dungeon. And to me, this was a shock. I didn't even know such a thing could exist. I just had my fantasy life since I was a teen, which included slave things and definitely power stuff. I didn't know what it was, but when he said there was an LA dungeon, and I've been in LA for years, I was freaking shocked. And so I begged him to take me, and it changed me. It changed me. I actually have an excerpt of my show, Coming Out Kinky, a grown-up comedy, about that very moment. So if you want some time in our time together, I will, for the first time ever, share that excerpt.
Oh, I would absolutely love that.
I feel like you and your guests would totally appreciate it. What is it like to be what I feel like was like Alice in Wonderland?
Oh, absolutely. I know the first time you step into a public dungeon, it's like nothing else.
Yeah, I was definitely
really
nervous and titillated, and frankly, it was like an adventure. What I felt was happy because I was having a grown-up adventure.
Yes.
And I want more of those, where I'm like, can you believe I'm doing this? He and I, that same running buddy, we arranged a casual encounter, as they call it, and which was very new to me, and we were just the preparation for it, just walking up to the, our new friend's apartment, that was the best part of the night. Everything else was meh. Yeah. But just feeling like two kids doing something so naughty filled my heart with glee. And I want everyone to have that chance to feel playful and to feel adventurous. Yeah.
Well, I find for many it is a chance to bring out their inner child and do those wonderful devious things we always wanted to try.
That's what's so trippy about BDSM and the popular belief about it. What people who don't know about it is they think it's like this dark, scary, weird, when actually there's so much laughter happening and so much silliness sometimes going on, some unexpected glee and mirth that happens in the BDSM scene.
It absolutely does. I mean, people come into the scene for many reasons. As a matter of fact, it's becoming very popular with psychologists to refer people to our scene.
Really? I'm glad to hear that.
I am not lying. I have met several people who were in counseling, and they had a counselor said, I think that this might fit you. And
that's so good.
Have sent them to local dungeons in the area. I mean, Sanctuary is not the only one.
Tell me more. Tell us more, Miss Cassie.
There are many dungeons around LA.
True. Now I was sort of acting naive, like I had no idea that psychologists may have an interest.
Yes.
But when I did my show for the first time, Coming Out Kinky, there was somebody in the audience who puts on continuing education for therapists. And within 48 hours of him seeing the show, he was like, we need to do some kind of business together. And we started to craft a class for credits for therapists so they can learn about kink.
Actually, quite a few therapists do know about that.
It's so
if
good.
You've ever, I have talked to people in the field, and it is something that a lot of them are very familiar with. Have they changed that in the DSM yet on BDSM? Do you know, Mel?
Oh yeah, we're no longer sick. We're no longer demented.
No longer mentally ill.
No longer
and then
mental.
there's kink-aware professionals, which I know isn't its own website. It's connected to a nonprofit. But whenever I try to find it, I just Google kink-aware professionals to find who are the therapists, who are the service providers and coaches
Well,
Okay.
even on FetLife, there is a referral thing for, kink-friendly therapists or kink-friendly professionals.
Love it.
Even plumbers. What? No?
If you go to the National Correlation of Sexual Freedom,
Yes,
to their
that's it.
website, they have a whole list, which is awesome.
Absolutely.
I like the idea of a kink-aware plumber, because
Yes.
you want one because of what once happened to. I'm just going to call it someone I know, if you don't mind. Someone I know had a dominant partner who went to the pleasure chest and purchased an expensive toy, a very soft toy, and that someone, whose name will not be repeated, flushed that toy down the toilet.
Oh, man.
And it just went, and the plumber might be needed a few months into the future, and you want a kink-aware professional.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you want that.
Who would flush that down the toilet?
The person would probably say to you that he was just going to the bathroom and it accidentally expelled the toy.
Oh, they had it up their ass.
That's correct. I mean, I don't know the exact details, but if the person were here, they would say something like that happened.
Well, a butt plug could resemble anything.
Right? So there you have it.
Including what they ate for dinner.
And that's why you need a kink-aware plumber.
Is there anybody in the chat room yet now?
I know there are people that are watching the show, so if you are watching the show, please scatter into the chat room, voice your opinion, talk about it, if you've ever dumped a big butt plug down the toilet.
Yes, we do want to hear this.
Yes, so,
we have had people share about their butt plug experiences.
We can be scatological.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is a fabulous word.
Isn't that is a fabulous word. But that is just horrible.
It reminds me of Whip Smart. I think that's what the book was called, where young woman in her, I believe, early 20s, college student, found her way into being a dominant in a New York dungeon and wrote about her stories. She was really in denial about any kind of kink she had. She just noticed she had a certain talent.
Yes.
And only towards the end of the book was she in therapy and realizing, I might be a little kinky myself. But it took a long time for her to get there. She basically detached from it and considered these the weird people with whom she served.
I never felt the need to talk to a therapist about BDSM.
You
I
always just trusted yourself.
Well, yeah, that just wasn't an issue I felt I needed to discuss with them. I mean, I discussed lots of other issues. There's important life issues, but to me, it just wasn't an issue.
I'm so impressed by that because I was concerned about my wellness. I'm like, what is this thing? Why am I like this? Why am I so turned on by that? Does it make me not a feminist? I had a lot of questions and concerns, and thank God I'm no longer worrying or wondering. Like, boy, I was watching the 50 Shades of Grey trailer.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I have to admit, I mean, you're going to judge me. I feel like you're going to judge me, but I enjoyed a soft porn. Like, I really enjoyed it. Like, I watch a trailer and I'm like, that's right, that's hot, And the part about Mr. Grey saying things like, in his smoky way, I've had a hard childhood. You don't want to be anywhere around me. It's just such horseshit.
Yes.
Because the truth about people in the scene, the studies reveal, is that our psychologies are quite similar to everybody else, except for a little bit better as communicators.
Well, actually, yes. And, I think for the general public that they've kind of romanticized this, and they kind of need something that is very Harlequin romance.
It's very Harlequin romancy.
That,
Mommy porn!
What'd you say, mommy porn?
Mommy porn!
Mommy porn. But,
Good.
because I think that's what's going to appeal to the general public. They want to be a little bit more, they want to be titillated, they want to explore something there, but I don't think they really want to explore the real authentic thing, which I think they would be very surprised, that book was kind of bullshit.
Well, I'm disappointed to hear you say that these mommy porn lovers, which I would just consider vanilla, what is it called? Like, suburban mom, Ducker mom. I'm disappointed that you think that they actually wouldn't want to try it, because that's who I consider my target market in my business. Because I consider myself sort of an entryway person, sort of like I can be my background is seminar, giving corporate seminars, so I can be like your friendly neighborhood, warm and fuzzy. Let me tell you about a couple things about this world if you're curious. And you're saying they're not really necessarily wanting it at all. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Well, people love their fantasies. My grandmother used to read romance novels. She just ate that stuff up, and that stuff's soft porn.
It is.
I'm sorry, but it is.
Well, if you touch yourself when you're reading a book, that book becomes soft porn. So
Well,
it could be...
exactly, and well, I don't know. I never asked Grandma if she was into this.
Right.
But she probably could have kicked your ass at 93 and a half. That woman was
Really?
tough.
Battle axe.
Yeah. Oh, she was amazing.
So are you
And
suggesting...
she did yoga for the last 50 years of her life, so I know she had to be bendy.
And strong.
And strong.
I think
Could you imagine? I bet she was one hot grandmother.
Are you thinking that she would be a dominant, like straight pepper, dominant only granny? I don't want to say granny. She's a woman, an older woman.
So
I'm sorry.
Sweet. But then again, she was nice to me. But it depends on who you ask. Yeah, she could very much be in charge.
I
Mm-hmm.
think it's kind of fascinating. Maybe you disagree. This idea that you could look at somebody who says they're kinky and you're like, I'm not sure whether they're dominant or submissive or a switch. Are you able to just sniff them out? You're like, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that? Because sometimes I'm surprised.
I really, I just leave it up to them to, say, well, what do you feel like you are? And then I watch them and go, well, you're wrong.
Really?
No. You can really, really tell with some people, and other people, that they're just exploring. And a lot of people that think they're dominant are really just people with control issues. They really are not dominant at all.
And they don't even know it themselves.
They're just afraid to let go. So they assume the dominant role, thinking, that they're going to be safe. And the truth is, they really want to submit. They're just scared to go there. And they are such control freaks, which is really dumb if they realize just how much power the submissive has to negotiate the whole scene.
Yeah, they'll really be disappointed in that.
Yeah.
I'm remembering, because I identify as a switch, where a partner identified as a dominant, and we started to have a scene, and I'm like, this isn't, nope. And I feel like it might have been the very thing that you described, that they're calling themselves that because they're not quite sure where they are, but the dynamic did not satisfy.
No.
Like, so my submissive self was not ignited.
No, you weren't, because a lot of times, like I said, it has to do with their own personal control issues, and so many people, when they get on FetLife, they'll automatically put down Dom, because they're so afraid that somebody's going to come and take over their whole life. And, that's actually not what happens. Most people are just playing with us on the side. There are those 24/7, yeah, the big, long people that do the live-in and everything. But most people that get involved in that, I mean, they've kind of thought this thing out.
Holy moly. So that, my entryway, like when I actually got into kink, like I went hard, like I went deep, meaning I found a partner on bondage.com.
Oh, fun.
Who wanted a 24/7 partner. And although I didn't live in, the dynamic was that. And sometimes it had high protocol, and sometimes it was very casual protocol. And I ate it up. I mean, it was so fascinating and riveting, and we had a contract.
An actual contract.
I still have it. It's in a
Wow.
file.
He
had me sign it with a pen, but no hands. So
I don't know any dominant who's ever had any submissive sign a written contract.
it was full on written, and being sort of corporate.
Well, because legally that could really get them in trouble.
Oh, all of it was then. It was clarified what it was. So, well, first of all, as a legal contract, it was good to go. He couldn't harm me. He couldn't do this. He couldn't do. I mean, it's described a dynamic, and I think it just simply turned him on to codify things.
Yeah.
But what was fun for me and what was fun for us and delicious just as a couple is that I took it and I started redlining it, or I started marking it up and concerned about this. And I think it was just foreplay for us.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and then we would re-up it.
Well, some people, they do renegotiate. Hey, Mel, you ever heard of anybody actually typing out and signing a whole big long contract?
Yeah, I did that with my first slave.
Did you really?
Yeah, and then when we broke up, I went back over it and said nobody could fucking do what we wrote in this thing. It was ridiculous.
Oh.
So yeah, it was contracts. Yeah, I know a lot of people that do contracts,
No, it was really sweet.
but they're not just binding in court. They're
not binding.
They're not binding, but
so sweet.
they're fun.
What was sweet is that there was even a clause about how we would treat each other as best friends. I mean, it was deep. It was sweet. It was meaningful. It was touching. Yeah. One thing that didn't work as a newer submissive is that he had a poem that I think he wished a submissive would write about him.
Oh.
That I think he would had in a file somewhere, and then he sort of juxtaposed me into it and gave it to me like, what do you think of this? And I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, those words aren't mine. I wouldn't say it like that. But now I know what you like. It was hard because that part didn't click. So I was like, I'm sorry. But now I know that you want a lot of wholehearted, I can't think of the right word for it.
Devotion.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I think that the style of submission I have is sort of selfish. Like, I want to submit to you as long as I get mine at the end. What is that called?
Topping from the bottom.
Well, I don't think...
Smart.
No, I don't think I was topping from the bottom, but what it was is I happened to find a dominant who was very invested in what he called, I'm trying to think of the word, sustainability.
Okay.
He didn't feel like something could be sustainable if I truly wasn't enjoying myself, so sexual pleasure was a big element for him, that he felt like that was an important element to keep me engaged. And he was correct. Oh, get out of bed talking about all of that. It's been a while.
So did he fulfill you sexually?
It was absolutely delicious.
Nice.
Yeah. And at a certain point, I started to grow out of it. So part of my show, which is the Coming Out Kinky show, I talk about how that evolved. In that there's a common wisdom, tell me if you agree with this, in the BDSM community, that a seasoned player shouldn't get deeply, deeply involved with somebody who's new. Because that new person might be exploring and they might morph into something else. So he was wanting a full-time 100% submissive, and little did he know I'm switchy and complex and nuanced and polyamorous. Whoops. Whoopsie.
Well, I know a lot of dominants in the scene that purposely seek out the people who know nothing about the scene, just for that very reason, to get exactly what they want.
Well, he loved the sweetness of bringing me to these first experiences. I mean, that is touching. As a dominant, I find that extremely moving. But then there's the other part, which is like growing out of it, possibly.
Well, if he's a good dominant, and he has had experience with new people in the scene, he should already realize that this is a growth process, and that you will probably eventually outgrow the relationship unless the relationship grows with your growth.
Yeah, and it didn't, and so we...
Yeah, he himself has to grow along with what's happening.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, not his fault. You know what I mean? There were. Yeah.
Well, also, because I work with a lot of young girls at the dungeon, and they're all so excited. Oh my God, I get to be spanked and get paid for it, and I love being a submissive, and this is so much fun, and I get to wear lingerie to work, and oh my God, I get into parties for free, and this is so cool. And I'm going, yes, it is right now, but you're going to grow and change. It's like, do you think you're going to do this 10 years from now? Oh, yes, I love this.
It's so sweet, though, because it's about somebody discovering joy in their work. But you're right, something's going to shift and change.
Well, yeah, I had the masochist beaten out of me. I used to be an incredible submissive.
Oh, and then you were done.
I was done.
You got full.
I did.
Interesting.
One too many scars.
You got the shit kicked out.
I did.
Do you want to hear a piece?
Yes, let's
Okay.
hear. Let's hear.
All right, so this is
Wait a
from
minute.
Michelle.
I see the finger wagging. We got something going on in that chat room.
Yes, Little T in the chat room says, the woman I was living with, the Dom, did contracts. The benefit of those from how she viewed it protected her. Say things went bad, there were signed papers, and the subs agreed to the terms. So, for example, the sub could not file charges against the dominant. I'm sure others have different reasons for contracts. This was her reasoning, and that was the reason I never signed nothing, never got that far. So,
What an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Yep. Good.
Yep, that is an interesting.
Thank you for that. Is it Lil T?
Little T.
Thank you. Appreciate your perspective. It sounds like what I love, and I learned early on because some stranger that I connected to on the internet, a dominant, because I was looking for, like I was looking for a right match for me when I was looking. He put me under his wing and he started sending me articles so I could be an educated submissive.
Interesting.
And he sent me this article, something like if it quacks like a duck and something like a duck, it's not necessarily a duck. I think the whole point of the article was just because a man says he's dominant does not mean he's freaking dominant. So watch out, let the buyer beware. And what I like about Little T's message is like there's a head on Little T's shoulders. You know, like I am conscious, my eyes are open, I am not giving over without keeping apprised of my wellness.
Well, people forget people do grow. I mean, if you look at the growth of a man's sexuality throughout his life, you know, you often get those young men in their 20s and 30s. Oh, God, no, you're never getting near my ass. I am not gay. That is such a gay thing. Nothing goes up my ass. Well, by the time they're in their 60s and their sexuality has changed, they are begging to have a thumb put up their ass to stimulate that prostate gland so they can get a fucking hard-on. And there ain't nothing gay about that. It's how your fucking body works.
It's so exciting to see a man discover his first non-ejaculatory full-body orgasm via his prostate.
Yeah. It's amazing. You know, and just because you like that stimulated, you like a butt plug up your ass to give you a little extra stimulation. I know a lot of men that love the vibrator to share it with their woman at the same time. It doesn't make you gay.
No, and frankly, I'm going to get spiritual on you. For a prostate to be put deep into the male body,
yes,
and to be able to reach it in such a unique way, and for it to bring so much exquisite pleasure to a man. Who thinks of such a crazy thing? But it makes me think that there's a higher power.
There is a higher power. He takes care of us throughout our lives so that we can have a healthy sexual life to the day we die.
That's right.
Milking is fun to do.
Yes.
Milking the cock. Milking. Oh, milking is where you press on the prostate and then you press on the top of the cock. I mean, on the base by where it connects you on the top, and you start rubbing them, and you milk all the pre-cum. Oh, yeah. Never mind.
Thank you. Thank you.
You see, we grow and change throughout our lives, and and wouldn't you rather embrace and enjoy every phase? I mean, the reason it didn't bother me is when I first started taking psychology classes, Freud actually goes over our stages of development. We get stuck in the genital stage, the anal stage, you know. We do, you know, and some people are stuck in these stages as longer. Does it not make sense that, you know, we do explore our bodies in interesting ways when discovering our sexuality?
Especially as we get more seasoned. I'm 44 and I'm like, what about this? What about that? I mean, there's so many things to explore and I haven't even gotten started. Because I feel like I haven't even really given myself permission until just a few years ago. So there are some edgy things that I haven't tried. So I feel like I have to walk my talk. If I'm going to walk my talk in my brand called Sexual Esteem with Jean, then I better keep experimenting and keep pushing my own personal envelope.
Well, especially if you are up for the experimentation now, if that's what you're enjoying. I mean, you know, life's too short not to have a blast. You know, it's like, why not follow your bliss? You know, it was like, I was trying to work corporate years ago. It was not a good fit for me. You know, I did that for like 25 years.
Whoa, you did it for reals.
I did it for real, you know, because everybody's like, you need to do this, that, and everything. And then,
how did you know when it was time to stop that? What went down?
Well, I had been arguing with the doctors about, you know, what career they should retrain me for, because, you know, that many years typing destroys your body.
Okay.
And,
in other words, you were having...
Oh, I had repetitive stress injuries to my entire upper body. And they're going, oh, you're never going to do anything this, that. We want to train you to be an optician. I'm going, using my hands like that with fine, that's what set the carpal tunnel off in the first place. What's going on here? I said, I want to study massage.
And you don't think?
And they said, no, there's no way with your injuries. You can't do anything that physical. So back and forth. They retrained me as a computer tech. Not enough time off the keyboard. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm looking at you going, huh, that's the solution to the carpal tunnel?
No, it's not. We thought I would have, you know. So, you know, I did that for a few years, and I had a chance to step away from that job on leave, took my credit cards, put myself in massage school, never looked back. Much to the chagrin of the doctors. I'm strong now.
And you don't have any of that bullshit in your...
Well, I can't squeeze a stapler to save my life. That will bring me to my knees.
Well, luckily,
but,
when you squeeze a stapler, when you get a massage or whatever.
And also handling floggers and whips and all that stuff. Different motions. Body mechanics.
I like it.
Yeah.
You were talking about, like, different phases of life, and Joan Price has this fantastic... What? It's not very nice. You got...
Well, here, I have a
see
solution.
that stapler? Oh boy, she's gonna. Oh, watch out!
There's always a way to make things work.
Let them see. Let them see that. Okay.
Bend over! Bend over! Bend over and give it to me. I'm gonna staple your clit. That should give you quite an orgasm.
No.
No?
Remember, I'm the dominant. I don't do pain.
Well, you just haven't tried it. You tried it?
No, I've tried it. Trust me, I've tried it. It does nothing for me.
You've never had it done to you by Miss Cassie.
Oh my God, it's like every fucking male dominant says that to me. Oh my God.
And now Miss Cassie's doing it.
No, I'm good.
She's trying to seduce you.
Nah, she's not.
The purple stapler.
She knows I'm joking.
I know she's joking.
No, but I've never.
The purple stapler. I think we should keep this here as a remembrance.
At least it's not fucking yellow. I've got issues with the green, yellow, red system of safe words. It's like fucking ridiculous.
Oh.
I get really mad when people call yellow. It's like, you know, we establish your limits ahead of time.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I mean, I know what the yellow and stuff is.
Well, I'm the kind of
dominant
that takes the time to actually find out what my submissive limits are, what they expect from the scene. Right. We work out, you know, some sort of safe word if they need it. I do check in with them throughout the scene. There should never be a reason to call yellow if you're scening with me.
I understand. Okay, now I get it. Because with a lifestyle partner, he loved to stretch my limits. In fact, he liked to use pleasure and pain to stretch consent. That evil, naughty man. So for us, it was critical. And saying yellow was the most courageous thing, because I would like take pride in like being able to take it, and then I would be very overwhelmed later. I'm like, oh, I was supposed to say yellow and I didn't. So it sounds like it's sort of a different context, but I love that you check in with your clients and you make sure that they're good to go and that they're
as the dominant, I'm in charge of that scene. I am responsible for their well-being. As a matter of fact, at the beginning of every rope class, I explained to them my intake means we do a medical intake. Includes
blood
mental,
pressure,
physical, how they're feeling for the day. I mean, I don't actually take the blood pressure cuff out
No,
or
but they
anything.
need to know. You need to
But
know.
yeah, I need to know if they have any medical issues. I need to know if they have any range of motion issues. I need to know if they have mental issues. I
Because
need to
they
know
could
if they've had an emotional upheaval. If you broke up with your boyfriend that morning and you're coming to play with me that night, I kind of need to know that. We might need to adjust the scene to something a little different.
What I love about that is, as I'm imagining, do you have female clients?
Yes.
Yeah, so what I love is the idea of being a client of yours is like that intake would feel so nourishing. And then I'm like, this woman knows me. Like, she has taken the time to know me in this way. I can feel more safe in giving over and surrendering. It sounds like the scene would be so much better. That's obviously a protocol everyone does, right?
I don't know.
They should.
I am not responsible for everybody, but I know if you come to one of my
it.
classes, you're going to learn that as a protocol before
Good.
you put any rope on anybody's body.
Good.
You know, I mean, you cannot play with your bottom if you kill them or injure them. Well, if you injure them, they might let you play with them again, but I probably wouldn't let them play with it.
Does everyone say this? Don't break your toys.
Yeah, they should.
But, that's funny.
If you break your toys, you can't play with them.
True. Can I do my scene now?
Yes,
Okay,
let's do
I'm going
your
to move the
scene.
stapler here.
Yes.
Okay. So this is an excerpt from Coming Out Kinky, a grown-up comedy, which is playing in Seattle this Friday night on the 23rd.
Oh, nice.
And on February 1st in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Yay! Do you see that?
Can they see that?
Coming Out Kinky, a grown-up comedy.
Oh,
and as I was
right.
mentioning earlier, I had been very repressed, and I was letting myself out of my shell, and then discovered that there was such a thing as an actual dungeon. So here's that piece. We arrived at the nondescript building. Oh no, I'm going to start here. My friend explained that there was this whole underground S&M subculture, and far from being scary or dangerous, he said it was unexpectedly comfortable, natural, unpretentious, and unashamed. We arrived at the nondescript building near the airport on a Saturday night. Once through the door, we're in a room with a young woman behind a desk. Before you come in, you'll need to sign this waiver. And I'm reading this waiver. It says, I hold the club harmless regardless of anything I may see or experience. I enter my own risk. Okay. And I need to see your ID to confirm that that's your real name. So I do. And she goes, thanks, have fun. She gave me a laminated membership card with the acronym SSC. I abide by the philosophy that all interactions are safe, sane, and consensual. So Sean and I were now allowed to go through the doorway and into the club. I hold on to the back of his shirt. Don't leave me. So we walk in, and there's a main room with a bar and an empty stage. It's pretty standard club decor. There's a bowl of M&Ms and party mix on a table. We sit down and munch and observe. So I'm looking around, I say, wait a minute, why is this guy wearing a blue dog mask? And my friend says, to protect his identity. Oh, so the dog face is about style. And I didn't know what to wear to an S&M club, so we immediately stick out in our plain clothes because besides the dog guy, everyone else is dressed according to the theme of the evening. It's Pirates Night. The men are wearing hats with skulls on them. The women are in fishnets and scarves. It's like being at a high school dance where the kids from the chess club are finally the popular ones. And this very nerdiness makes the other activities of the club seem more okay. So connected to that main room, there's this series of other rooms connected, and each of these rooms is decorated to inspire dark fantasies. So I keep Sean between me and anyone else, and we stop at each doorway to see what was going on. There's this large room where there's this woman wearing only black underwear. Her limbs are bound. And then there's this man about 10 feet behind her, clearly in charge, using what looks like a long whip. Sean and I and 4 other onlookers give this guy a lot of space. He hurls the whip in this motion that makes me think of fly fishing. And then only the tip makes contact with her body. And her back is red in a few places, but that's about it. So this man, he he's sort of sweating. He's bare-chested. I like his focus and authority. And every so often, he comes up to her, and he strokes her bottom, and he whispers something into her ear that makes her giggle. And then back he goes to the business of whipping her. I am riveted by how the man and the lady are getting along so nicely. And when they're done, I tell Sean, I think I'm ready to walk around by myself. He says, have fun. So I'm looking around, and I find another activity hotspot. The Red Room has a comfy couch and several lounge chairs. And then there's the young woman from behind the desk. She's wearing leggings and a t-shirt, and she's being spanked by one guy. Every so often, she's passed along to this other guy who takes the job for a while. And all three of them are chatting with each other back and forth casually while doing all of this. So I catch eye contact with one of the spankers, and I begin asking him questions like a reporter. I say, what's enjoyable for each of you with what you're doing? And he goes, yeah, we're helping Chrissy here get into a blissful altered state. She's like, it's working. Jonathan's turn. So the man, his name is Vincent, he comes up to me and goes, so are you a dominant or submissive? I say submissive, I think. Get Jay Weissman's book, SM 101, and rent the movie Secretary. Everyone in the scene loves that movie. I'm like, the scene? He says, people into bondage, all this stuff. Hey, if you want, I need a model for the classes I teach here. So he hands me this sheet of paper. I'm like, wax play, electricity play, suspension bondage, flogging technique, and safety. He says, would you like to be tied up? It's my specialty. Here's a photo book of women I've tied up. So I take a look at it. I'm like, this is very artful. I don't think we'd have time for that. He goes, well, how about this one? I say, we're just talking about tying and then untying, right? He goes, absolutely. Here's the rope I would use. Is that okay? And I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at the rope, and I'm like, I don't know. And then Sean arrives in the room, and I'm like, okay, I feel more safe. And I'm like, all right, tie me up. So he took his time with the knots. I patiently waited and felt sort of silly. I didn't have chemistry with Vincent, but it was an experience. So as Sean and I drove north on the 405 freeway away from the club, I began feeling this nagging need for something else, something more.
Nice.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Fun to. Oh, got me sort of warmed up for Friday night. I'm excited. Yeah, thank you.
A very sweet first experience. Oh my goodness.
Thank you. Thank you. And when the people who see the show quite often are quite vanilla.
Sometimes.
The show, this particular show. This particular show.
Oh, that's nice.
And so the first portion, they're getting to know me, and I'm sort of dressed like this, you know, like, this to me is sort of like Mr. Rogers. Do you remember that show, you know?
Yeah, I do.
So
that was the
like,
only show my parents let us watch.
You're kidding me.
Well, there wasn't much on at that time.
So
this was pre-cable.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is like me, and they get used to me, and then in the second portion of the show, they get to see the train wreck of the mistakes I would make in my love life. And it's the third section where I finally get to be an empowered woman having adventures. So when I enter into the club, the very first time I put the show up, the audience got silent. And I had to ask my director, who was in the audience, what the heck happened? She said they were worried. Like, they were worried for you. They didn't know what was going to happen when you went into that club. And as soon as, like, they start seeing it unfold and that it's not such a scary place, they start laughing, nervous laughter, more laughter. It's a joy. It's a real joy to introduce people to it in a way that they can, that's palatable.
No, I like that because, you know, I've heard of other people that have done more in-your-face type BDSM and for the shock value. Yeah. And I'm not always sure that's the way to go with this, you know, because people already have shocking ideas of what they think is happening.
Right.
You know?
So I've been told that my title, which is, you know, has the word kinky in it, could actually be prohibitive for vanilla people. So I'm trying to, you know, find my way and try to help vanilla people know that I'm not going to hurt you. I'm going to be very gentle. Like that. And they can find out about it at kinkyjean.com. So I made it really easy. Thanks for introducing me that way. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. No, I think this is great.
Thank you.
You know, because there are so many people that have become so curious about the lifestyle, especially with things like 50 Shades of Grey,
Yeah.
and there's movies that come out from time to time.
Yeah, Secretary was an exciting
Secretary,
one.
Story of O is a classic one. Night Porter. There have been movies about this going on for a very long time, but it's been very
How about the one where you leave your
covert.
what's the one where you leave your hat on? What's that movie again?
Cabaret.
No, you can leave your hat on.
I don't know.
91 weeks, 51 weeks, 52 weeks. Somebody's going to call it in the chat.
9.5 weeks.
That was BDSM, right?
I don't remember. Was that the one with Kim Basinger?
Yeah, I was 16 when I saw it, and I was overwhelmed by it. It was like I was too young to be seeing what I was seeing. But it was BDSM, right?
Yeah, it was. He was a dominant. He was a mind fucker. It was BDSM. It was.
It was abuse, wasn't it?
Yeah, but people thought it was abuse, but she was definitely a submissive.
Thank you.
And she would do anything for him.
Thank you for that reminder of what it is.
Yeah, so.
I'm learning that there's a whole faction of people who take advantage of BDSM, and they put on the cloak of, I'm just a dominant, and what they are abusers.
Oh, yeah, that does
So
happen.
I'm wondering, do you ever run into that? And if so, how do you handle it? Like, in other words, do women sometimes come up to you and describe a scenario with a partner, and you're like, oh, sweetheart, you don't have a dominant, you have an abuser. FYI, you're not practicing BDSM. Has that ever happened to you?
Well, that is an interesting concept, because, I mean, there are always going to be those.
Yeah.
Well, let me give you this example.
Okay.
When I first started working at Sanctuary,
Mm-hmm.
and we reopened the place after the fire and everything, this is, after it was Passive Arts.
Mm-hmm.
There,
By the way, I was Passive Arts when I went.
Okay.
I changed it so people can find the Sanctuary if they're curious about it.
Yeah, because I had to, going, card. Did she really go to
Passive
Sanctuary?
Arts. It was Passive Arts.
I still have my Passive Arts card.
It was Passive Arts. So thanks for saying that. Yeah.
Yes.
I just wanted to make it more modern with the name so people can Google it and find it and really visit.
Yeah, I still have my original card.
Now you know.
But when I started first working there as a professional, and people discovered that we're open again. There are a number of guys that, see all the different dungeons in town, and, people know them. There was one in particular.
Not so good people, you mean?
We used to call him Psycho something. I won't mention his name. But yeah, the girls knew about him, and they tried to, set limits. But no, he really was somebody that abused people, and we did ban him from the dungeon.
So he tried to hire a submissive and then go further than what was appropriate.
Always.
It's disgusting.
And I mean, physically harming them. I'm not talking sexually going past their limits, which I'm sure he may have tried, but no. He would actually physically go past the limits. He knew one of our switches that had worked with him before. She felt comfortable she could control them, and she's like, nothing in my face. I just had dental work. As soon as she stepped in the room, he went just cold cocked her in the face with the dental work.
Come on, I mean he's mentally ill.
Yeah, no, he is an abuser of women. And that's why he's been banned from our dungeon, and I'm sure he's been banned from many of the dungeons in LA. And it's unfortunate, but when you're working as a professional, they watch out for the girls and stuff, and those people are not allowed out. But who's policing the scene at large?
Yeah,
that's a little bit different. This is why we tell people new to the lifestyle, go to classes, go to munches, talk to people.
Don't be isolated.
Don't be isolated, and don't get stars. At that big stardom.
I had what did they call it? Sub frenzy. I had that.
Well,
this idea of like as soon as I got a taste of it, there were stars in my pupils. I was like more. And that is where a person can make bad decisions.
Well, you can, and a lot of people don't realize you can be just, a play partner in the scene. You don't necessarily have to become, jump into a DS dynamic. There are a lot of people out there that they are only play partners.
Yeah.
They don't have this whole thing going. They aren't, having to send a mantra every time, every single day at a certain time.
Yeah.
They don't have to, obey their dominance every
Genuflect.
win. Exactly. You know, there are different ways of exploring this.
I think it's a smart way at first to like have a partner where you're equal out in, you know, regular way, and then you have a scene, and then within the scene you have your power dynamic. That's a safer way to be introduced to all of this.
Well, absolutely.
And talk with people. How smart. One of the problems I had when I was with the dominant partner I was telling you about, not his fault per se, but I felt isolated. I didn't have any other friends in the scene. He and I were just so enjoying the dynamic of the two of us. I needed somebody to bounce ideas off. I just had no idea who else enjoyed sexuality this way. I'm not saying it didn't exist, but I just didn't know what was normal. I needed more people.
Yeah, you got to make friends in the scene. I have friends that, you know, they bounce ideas off of me, and I'll give my opinion. And if I've got questions, I may ask then. You know, go, what do you think of this person? You know, and you hope that somebody's going to tell you when you're doing your research.
Like, be honest. Not protect their bad friend.
Well, you know, and sometimes people, they don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's you know, you really do, you got to take classes, you know, find out what this is all about.
You know what bums me out? I can't help it. I'm still with that thought of that guy who you guys called the psycho, I think, is the idea of a professional saying, I can handle him. Like, I feel in the work that you should never have to handle somebody in some kind of combat of wills where you're in a room together with a locked door where that person's going to try to...
You know, the more experienced girls, we will try to protect the less experienced girls.
Glad. But just why... I just don't want to have... You guys have to worry about claims.
Well,
like
for
that.
the longest time, I used to be a switch. I'm now purely dom. I will not be a professional switch anymore for the simple fact that we had this one horrible guy that would come in. And he was a pure sadist, and I mean, he just loved nipple torture. I hate nipple torture. You know, but I knew what he was going to do, and I knew that at certain parts he was going to go for those young submissives, and, you know, so I would take the hit. I would go ahead and play with him for the 30, 45 minutes.
Crap.
And it fucking sucked, you know, but I knew what he would do to those girls, and I did not want him ruining this for them. You know, they're going to, you know, run into enough bad guys like that in the scene. In
hindsight, I guess the guy is not bad in that he's not going beyond the limits. It just sucks.
He's just a horrible man.
This is so tough.
You know, he is just, you know, I think he just really hates women, and he just wants somebody to just, you know, do everything he said.
Do you believe that all sadists are horrible? You know, because this guy is, right? This guy likes to do what he does. I'm doing this because
he's not.
There he is.
Yeah, he just doesn't like women, I don't think, to tell you the truth.
Do you think all sadists are that? No.
Well, I've met a few sadists in the scene. If it says sadist on their profile, believe it. They put sadist down for a reason. Yeah. Chances are they really are a sadist, and I find a lot of sadists, you know, they're
You better be a masochist if you want to pair with this person.
Well, yeah, because they're not going to pay attention to your limits. Is there somebody that's asking a question there, Mel?
No, but I have an input.
Oh, please.
If it's okay. So I'm very sadistic, and I can be a sadist, but I'm also very compassionate and kind.
Yeah, I was worried about what you said, that all sadists will hit over your limits.
I didn't say all sadists.
I thought that's what you meant. That's not what you meant?
No, I'm just saying if they say they're a sadist, believe them.
Believe them.
I know a lot of sadists that's
True.
The thing. Is that, you know, even though you give them limits, they are going to push them and try to bring you beyond them, because that's part of their game.
Okay.
I have played with sadists that would not allow me to have limits.
Fuck that. Pardon my language. Did I say fuck that? And you would do it because you needed the work?
Oh, no, you have to understand, I'm lifestyle and professional.
So these were partners.
These were people on the scene that I was playing with, and if I wanted to play with them, I basically had to give up my limits.
Would you recommend that to anyone?
No.
So you wouldn't do that again?
I wouldn't recommend it. I just really...
You learned from the School of Hard Knocks.
Well, fortunately at the time, I was a very, very heavy masochist. You know, so, I mean, it was nothing for me to take it. I just go into meditation. I mean, you know, and, well, also, I mean, I come from maybe I had been in some abusive relationships and stuff. I can take a punch. And I also know that, you live through it. A physical punch hurts a lot less than an emotional punch.
Even just the way you said it, I could sort of.
Yeah. So I learned a long time ago how to deal with physical pain.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard for me to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it sounds like in your life now, it's not part of your world. It's not part of your professional world. It's not part of your lifestyle world. Am I right?
No, I don't bottom for anybody anymore.
Wah, wah, says Rav Mel.
Why? I can tie myself up and fly on my own bottom.
But can I
Tell me
can I
more.
spank you? Can I spank you a little bit? Make your buns a little bit warm? I'd do it nice.
Oh, yeah, that's what they all say. And they take one look at this magnificent ass that bounces so fabulous when you smack it, you can't resist it.
Why do you do that? Everybody watching is going to be like, I want her booty.
Right.
But you
the
said
boobs are nice, too. I see.
Yeah. So you said something so compelling, and maybe everybody watching knows, but I didn't hear it before, which is you can tie yourself up and fly.
Yeah.
Do you?
Oh, I teach rope bondage.
But you tie yourself up and fly privately? Is that what you
did it
mean?
at Bar Sinister the other night. I tied myself up in bondage and suspended myself.
Damn. Do you go into subspace for yourself?
No, I just play.
So when you say fly, in my head, I was flying into subspace. Now I know that you literally mean suspension.
Flying, yes.
Okay.
Well, if I'm doming myself, do I really want to take the chance of putting myself in subspace? That's going to be really hard to give myself aftercare.
That is why I asked. We all wanted to know. No, that's what I wanted to. I was curious what you meant.
I'm a rope aerialist, so it's
man,
yeah.
I see your work.
I just enjoy just the art of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
Can I tell you something? I don't know how much time we have, but this is very interesting. I know somebody who's deep into shibari. Like, I will practice shibari a minimum of 1 to 2 hours per day, 5 days a week. Deep.
All right.
And so I invited myself, or he invited me to have a session with him, and the first session part of it was like the gentle form of it, so it was very sensual and delicious. And we had more time. We had this 3-hour stretch, but that first one I was in this beautiful subspace, and I felt complete. And then he was like, well, we have so much more time. And I felt, well, I drove all the way over here. Let's keep going. Mistake. When I feel complete, stop.
Yes.
So he started to do this more intense, I was blindfolded, and he was jerking me around, and blah, blah, blah. I felt like I was in a car wreck the next day.
Yeah, it can take a lot out of you.
It did. And then there was this time where I received a more gentle tying, and the next day I felt like I had the flu. And so somebody said maybe it has to do with lymph drainage?
Yeah, it could.
What is that?
Well, that's our immune systems.
But
and
why is the immune system getting ignited by?
It's very, very, the lymphatic system is just right here. It can be just stimulated by that.
So sensitive. So I haven't done it since, but I really enjoy it. But I'm afraid I have to have a whole next day off.
Not necessarily. I mean, there's a whole thing that goes together with rope bondage. It's like, you need to make sure you're well hydrated for that day, that you've eaten well, that after you're seen that, you hydrate again, get some protein if you need it. It's just like an intense workout.
Right.
It feels like you're caressing those ropes, but you're actually flexing and you're working your muscles, just like isometrics.
It's incredible how powerful.
And if you've just had a beautiful bondage done and everything, and you feel complete, you might not want to take it to the next thing.
Drink some water and go home.
Especially if you haven't done it a lot.
Yeah. Well, now I know. I think my eyes were bigger than my stomach, they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I miss it, so I would like to have the experience again, and this time without the flu symptoms.
Well, come down to one of my classes, learn a little bit about rope bondage.
Thank you. One time I attended a rope class by a colleague, and this was really interesting. I did not want to learn how to tie, and I started getting upset at the idea of learning how to tie, and I think it was because my submissive self was really hungry, and I needed to be tied. Like, I didn't want to learn how to do it. I didn't want to learn how to do it as a dominant. I wanted the experience of surrendering. It's very interesting how emotionally it hit me.
Well, it can. Rope can be very emotional for people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, you know, they just really just want to be tied for the longest time.
Yeah.
And some people never want to tie. They have just, the rope just really does it for them.
Yeah.
You know, but rope is kind of unique in the kink scene. You know, I find with all the impact and play, you know, people are often, I'm obviously a dominant, I'm obviously a submissive. But I find in rope, more than anything, people switch. They really enjoy taking turns with that.
That's nice.
You know, and there really are some people that just want to always be tied. It's very comforting. You had a look on your face now. Was there a question?
No, I remember the one time I was tied up in bondage and hung and suspended. All I wanted to do was to get the fuck down.
You weren't into it.
Oh, no, you can't even put a seatbelt around me. I hate it, but I wear one anyways.
But
I can't be tied.
Being suspended when you don't even like to be tied seems like you went above and beyond what you would want.
Well, they were going to give me a Hitachi for free.
Okay.
So I did it, you know. And then I got it, and then I hate it. It's too rough, so never mind.
Just over your jeans.
And
a washcloth.
For everybody.
What? I thought that was God's gift.
No, sometimes, you know, some people's clitorises are extremely sensitive, and that kind of vibration is uncomfortable.
I have a friend who, she never exactly said it was her, but I think it was her because she was like, I know somebody who. And apparently you just need to think about her clit and it'll be stimulated. Like, you just send energy to it and she'll feel it.
And everybody's, you know, sexually stimulated in a different way. Not all women are clitorially stimulated.
It's so interesting.
You know, some people need to be fucked. Some people need to be fucked in their ass in order for the penis to reach the G-spot.
Isn't that cool?
You know, and it's all a matter of finding out what makes you tick. And this whole idea of the Hitachi drives me nuts.
What?
And I've had more people try to just jam one into my clitoris, and it is not really fun. Less is more.
Yeah.
It's like, tickle that. Just barely tickle it, and it will drive them up a freaking wall.
That makes sense. Like, even the sound of it. For some of us who actually have had orgasms.
You jam that into the pubic bone, that just hurts.
Yeah. They don't know how strong it is.
Well, was that like the... Wow, this has been fast.
I know,
that means we've got like 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
So, real quick, any websites,
yes,
anything that you want to propose, you know, get, so everybody can get the information on our shows that are coming up?
Thank you. So it's kinkyjean.com, and what I'm doing is I do workshops, and I do coaching. I have coaching programs. I go around the country doing my show, along with all of these other things. And so if you want to see the show in your city, contact me through the website, kinkyjean.com, or come to Seattle on Friday night, or LA on February 1st. Thanks for the chance to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're in LA, that show's going to be at the Whitefire Theater.
And Miss Cassie may be there. It could happen. There could be an appearance. And Rev too. It could happen.
It could happen. We've got your thing.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, I want to thank. That's 1 minute. Okay.
She was saying, what?
Were there any questions in the chat room or any more comments?
Yeah, we've been having conversations about limits and just carrying that on.
Thank you for chatting, everybody.
Yeah, so
absolutely. Did anybody mention if she was naughty or nice?
I will ask them now. Please type in, are you naughty or nice?
What does that mean? Tell me more.
Well, this is the Naughty or Nice show with Miss Cassie, so we often ask our audience members if they thought my guest was either naughty or nice.
Thank you. So I'm getting sort of graded. And I think, I'm almost wondering, because this is sort of the nice outfit, but maybe they see the naughtiness underneath.
Oh, the combinations we get are just absolutely delicious. You'll probably get, she's nicely naughty.
She's naughtily nice.
Or naughtily nice.
Naughty and nice. Naughty. Okay, there it goes.
Oh, they know that you're a kinky girl on the move.
Thank you.
Getting kinkier by the second.
I'm honored. And thanks for having me here.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much. I hope you're all going to join us next week when my guest is going to be Princess Marks.
Mm.
Yes.
She's hot?
Oh, she's extremely hot, but we won't get to be able to see her face. She's very mysterious.
Oh, like
Oh.
she will a veil, or will she be a voice?
So she can't be on camera.
No, she can't show her face. So, we'll have some nice devious questions for her.
Have fun.
But I can see her face while she's here.
Yes, she's debating whether or not she wants to do this via webcam.
I can hide her. I can hide her. You know I can.
Yes, we'll get it all set up. But I'm absolutely delighted to have her on the show. And you've been an absolute delight.
Thank you. It was really fun.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm
really
glad.
fun.
Well, you know.
I needed that. I needed it.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
thanks for making my day. And thank you guys for watching.
Absolutely. All right. Well, anything to add, Mel?
Nope. Nope.
Nope.
If anybody's watching and they go to the Lear Assad, they now have Lear Assad is pushed over to the Lear Assad, so you guys can go check it out, the new website. And this Friday, I'm teaching at the Lear Assad class on safety. And what are you doing this weekend, Cassie?
Well, actually, I am teaching a rope class tomorrow night at Sanctuary, and then I leave for Las Vegas. I'm going to be at the Avian Expo at the Hard Rock Hotel for the next couple of days. That is actually going on this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But I have to return to LA on Saturday for rope class.
What you gonna do?
Oh, I know. I come to think of it, I won't have a day off until I think Friday of next week.
Not bad to be busy.
Yeah.
Cassie, there's also a kinky karaoke on Thursday night in Burbank.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm going to go out and do some singing.
Oh, that's this Thursday?
Yeah.
Oh, where's that at?
Oh, I don't know. It's on FetLife. Should I look and see?
You dress kinky or sing kinky songs?
No, you just sing. It's
karaoke for kinky.
It's karaoke.
I was just thinking about what I would sing if I did karaoke on my way here. And
Hit me with your best shot.
Okay, now we know where Mel's. Mine would be you got fast.
It's at the Burbank Bar and Grill on North San Fernando Boulevard in Burbank. So
Nice.
yeah, and there's some friends are going, so we're gonna,
Sometimes LA Kingsters get
Yeah,
your karaoke.
yeah, go get your hit karaoke fix.
Yeah, I've gone out, let me see, it was one of the kinky women groups on FetLife, and we used to get together and go to different places, and I went to karaoke one night with the girls.
Did you sing?
I did.
What's your thing?
Oh, I don't even remember what I sang.
I also sing Salt and Pepper.
Do you?
Push it good, yeah. It's like, white Jewish rapper.
She's cute.
And I sing on a long, lonesome highway east of Omaha. Never mind.
All right. Well, we really are signing off for the night. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and I will see you next week.